Okay, here we go. We've done all the small components on this build, and now we finalize all the bigger components, and we add all the smaller components into the bigger components. So yeah, this is part 2 of build the Aden Pirate ship. So here we go. Okay, so yeah, you get this board and the battery box. Basically feed all the cables through, you screw that in from this side with the screws provided, so we'll get that done. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying this build. It's interesting. Hopefully the end result is worth it for you guys and myself. So yeah, just a case of getting those into place. That's the first one. We'll do the opposite corner. Now these are nice, easy to fit, let's say. The holes are already pre-marked out and cut out, so you don't have to pre-drill them before screwing it in, which is very nice. A nice little touch. You see different things that are better on some builds than others, and some little things like having these little screw holes ready in place so you don't have to, like I say, pre-drill it. Makes life a lot easier. All the things you pop out on off the sprue or the boards, again, very easy to do. You don't have to use a scalpel or anything to cut them out, or pre-cut them before you pop them out. Very few parts I've had to sand. Again, a nice touch. So that's real precision laser cut, I'm assuming. So yeah, that's the first part done. Then we need to build this up. It says to add the side panel, but we'll do this in this way first. So that goes facing outwards, and these are D13, D3 and D10. So yeah, again, and all this is going to do is hold this board in place. Nothing to do with this board, it goes right at the back for the next layer. So this board has got the 4 tabs, and this thing is supposed to be a light sensor or motion sensor. So this just slots into place. Right, that was a little bit nerve-wracking because you don't want to snap that board. Oh god, that'd be a great start to the build, wouldn't it? So yeah, that looks like that. I'll just double check the lights all work. Oh, look at that, beautiful. So I'll move that screwdriver out of the way, and this just clips in like that. So yeah, we're on to a winner. Winner, winner, winner. So this part needs to come into play, and you have a big hole there compared to all the other ones, and you need to get your lights and get the shortest one, and then these 2 lights pretty much the same length, so one of those second shortest lights we go with, I don't know, they're both the same length. We'll go with that one, shall we, for a laugh. So yeah, Let's try that. Yes. There we go. That's, yeah, these are a little bit wider than the hole, so just sort of force it through. And then it's all cables, mate. It's all cables. This then slots into those side parts there, whilst also fitting onto there. So that's that stage done. Boom. So the next stage, if you've got the musical box, this will affect you, but we haven't. So you bring this into plate and you'd install the music box there, but we haven't got that, so we don't have to do that. Obviously be careful not to get any of your wires trapped. So yeah, that's looking like that. All those through here. And then these can just hang over the corner just like that. And on to the next stage. Okay, so we got to get this stuck down onto here, and carefully, without getting any glue anywhere, you have to put this so it lines up with the outer edge and that bottom edge. Come on. So yeah, give that a second to cure. We use these 1, 2, 3 blocks. The next things we need to install is this and the dartboard. Now they go, don't know if you can see it, but there's, I can't see it now, there's a circle there, and the dartboard faces out, so that just goes on there. So the dartboard will go there, and this I believe goes there. There's just a little line in there, so we'll get those glued in. Okay, so the next stage is we're going to be putting in the storage rack. Now this was a little bit of a fiddle, but you'll get there in the end. And you've got 2 tabs on the bottom that fit into the base plate, plus the 2 holes to receive it. Then onto the fireplace. So once you've got the fireplace installed, you need to sort the lighting out. So the number 1 light is close to the floor, which you can see on the left there. And the number 2 light needs to be draped over the top of the fireplace. And I will just put that into position with a bit of the clear tape, which isn't the best quality, but it's just a temporary measure just to hold it in place, as you can see there. So now we install the weapons rack number 2, and that just sits to the side of the fireplace, which covers up some of the cabinet that we've already done. And also we're going to be installing the leather case with the books on top, so we'll just get those glued in. Then on to the cat staircase. So this is where I made my first big mistake. I left this door out and didn't find it till the end, but that goes behind the cat on the back wall. Now we're sticking down the newspapers and the little wine bottles. and they just get glued to the floor. And I'm just using wood glue for these, and there is 2 of them. And the little dropper bottle is ideal for this process because you can get nice precise gluing. So we're just adding the papers in, and there is 4 of them. Look at those, magically appearing. And then on to the 3rd bottle. This guy must be a drunkard on this ship. I like his style. Okay, another couple of bottles need to be added to the floor. So this guy loves his booze. Look at them. You don't really see these in the final build because it's just quite cluttered. But there is plenty to look at. I'm not complaining. Now we need to put on the wrench on top of the barrel, and that just gets glued down, and this goes right next to the fireplace in position like that. So now it's a case of putting some more components in the floor. This is H66 and C12, which is little skull. Then onto this little treasure chest, it's made out of plastic, and then onto the rudder that just fits in there. So the next part I didn't film, but I've added in the table. Because I put the legs in wrong way round, I didn't film it, but it was a bit of a struggle. And then you just add in the chair. So that was my second mistake with the table. As you can see, that door behind the cat is still not there, it never appears. So we're going to add the last of the plastic pieces, which is the golden cage, and that just goes at the foot of the table just there. Then we glue in the fish and the crossbow onto the back wall. And there is little markings on the wall, you can barely see, but they're there just to keep it in the right position. Okay, so the fishing rod goes in next, and then after you've glued that in, it wants you to put the bow of the boat in. I didn't do that at this stage, I thought I'd leave it out till later. Then we're adding these wall components on. That one's very delicate, that part I've just put in. And this one sort of fits in into the holes, and that looks just like that once completed. Then we go on to the old moose head that just fits on the wall there. That looks very nice as well. Look at all that in the positions. Oh. Then we go on to the flooring. Now you would have had the bow of the boat getting in your way here, so it's easier to do it this way. So you're adding in all the sea elements. And do whichever angle suits you to get these into position. So this is the right hand side that we've nearly finished with the little fish at the front, and that looks just like that. Very nice indeed. And then we move over to the other side with the sea elements, the seaweed and the waves. And we just get those popped into the holes, no glue needed. And that's the last one. Very nice too. Look at that. Now we can add the bow of the boat into position, and it's marked on the floor. So yeah, just get that into position and you're good to go. That just looks very nice, like that. All those components. It's very busy inside, but it looks nice. So now we add the broomstick that goes behind the cat, and it's just a case of gluing that into position. And I've added a little bit of super glue just on the tip of the top with the precise dispenser. And this is all the base floor completed. Very nice too. Look at all that detail. Right, on to the next stage, which is the old next floor, and it's a case of inserting this chandelier, and you've got to get it the light glued in behind it or taped in behind it, whichever way you want. Again, this was a little bit fiddly to do because you want to get that right in the middle of that lamp fitting, and I super glued that into position. Then you put the flooring in, and then you put the anchor at the front of the boat. Right, so this was easier to glue these parts onto this plate before you put it into the floor. So you've got a door, you've got a window frame, and then you've got the cutlasses and guns that go onto that place, and you can see there's little markings for where you install those. Again, I'm still using super glue for most of this. And yeah, these are very small and delicate. So I'm just taking the time to get them in the right position so they look nice. There you go. And once completed, will look like that. And then again, that just gets installed. There's just two little tabs on the bottom that fit into the next floor. Very nice. Then you need to get the lights. The longer of the lights needs to go. There's a little gap at the one side. That just needs to slide into there. And then the next smaller of the lights just goes across the middle, and that will be the light fitting for the roof that goes in the next floor. So we now need to put in the sandbags or the sacks. There's 3 of these that need to get onto the floor, and there's 3 little holes. One's behind the other one. I would advise you to put the one behind in first before you put the one in front, as it's a little bit of a struggle. Then onto the cannon, and it wasn't to the end of the build that I realised that you were supposed to use the wooden dowel with the sticker on for the main cannon part. And we've put the coins in there. Now we're just adding elements. This is like a rope wrapped piece of wood. Then some stickers just get placed on the floor, and this next part is adding in the first bomb, and that just gets glued to the floor right next to the cannon. And then once completed, that will look like that. Very nice indeed. This next part, I don't even know what it is, but it's F68. And that just gets plugged into the floor. I think it's like a load of gold, or a pile of gold with some sacks. And that's where we're up to with that. Again, looking very nice and detailed. Then we're adding some components onto the wall, which is a life ring and an octopus, and there's markings on the wall for those. Let's just add in the octopus in. Sorry about the angle, it's not the best. You'll see it in a second. There you go, that's what that looks like. Again, still using super glue for all these components. So yeah, just constantly building up the interest level on this floor. So the next component we put in is this standard with a flag at the top, and that just plugs into the floor. Again, just be careful you don't snap it. A bit of a wiggle, in that goes, and then you're not going to believe this, what the next part is. Yeah, it's an elephant. And then a light will go behind an elephant with like a scarf over its head. How crazy is that? And the light, like I said, will go behind this. This is like a barrel with a parrot on top. There you go, look at that. Very nice. Then we're adding the scarecrow. He just plugs into the floor. A little bit of a wiggle, big bit of support underneath. And then a case of gluing this grate in that covers that big hole on the floor just there. Very nice too. And now we're just adding this chain linked fence, which is a very delicate part, but it came off the sprue nice and easily. I would advise you to glue one end of this in because it will move later on. It won't just stay in the pegs. And that's the next floor done. Look at that. Very nice too. I've installed the light behind the elephant with the same sort of super glue technique. Now it's a case of feeding that one cable through with the light in, which is the last light. We've got another light that fits on top of, I love another bulb that fits on the bottom of this flooring, and again that's like a chandelier, and that was super glued and put into place. And I'm just putting some of this rubbish tape on to try and secure it in some position. There you go, look at that, the precision. It's amazing. So we flip this top floor over, and that just fits into the tabs at the back, and on the floor beneath there's a little tab sticking up. Again, a little bit of faffing around, but you'll get there. So at every stage I like to test the lights to make sure they're still working, and everything seems to be working very nice too. So we continue with the floor beneath, and a few more components are added, and this first ladder goes in with some glue. So now we're installing the tall ladder, and that goes between the bottom floor and the first floor, and that just fits on a little bit of the front of the boat on one of the steps, because you need this to go slightly above the floor level so it sticks up just like that. So we're flying along, and we're starting on the wooden boxes, just the ones we've covered, and we do a stack of 3 and then one on top, so they just get glued into place. That's the second one, and you just need to do the angles that suit, really. So onto the 4th box that just sits on top like that, and there is a little red part that just gets glued onto one of the boxes, I chose the top box because I want to be slightly different. So once completed, it will look like that. Beautiful. Can't beat it for the quality. And another quick test with the lighting to make sure it's all working. And you can see it's very busy. But it looks nice. I'm happy with it. So we've just got to start working on the top floor. We're coming towards the end now. Well, the last few stages. Still a lot to do, but we're getting there. Beautiful. Looks like a proper pirate ship. Now on to the last light that fits onto the crow's nest. And I found the easiest way again was just to glue this in position with a bit of super glue and some activator. So just a little dob just to hold it into position, and then I added more glue afterwards. You only need a spot. There you go. Activator activated. And then you can add more glue. So now we're adding the blue fluffy clouds to the back wall. Again, just glue those in place. There's 2 of them. Boom. Look at that. How scenic. How lovely. How piratey. That's even a word. Now we're going to install the guardrails. And for some reason these didn't fit quite properly. Well, they fitted on the floor and they fitted next to each other, but they overhung just a fraction on the left hand side. So that one went in fine, and then the next one just gets glued in. Now we're gluing in the crow's nest, and there is a circle you can just about see on the floor as an indicator. You want to try and get this straight at all the angles as well. Mine is just slightly off kilter. So we're just adding the anchor to the back. That's just glued in. And we're just adding the barrel in, and that just gets pegged in right next to the ankle. So just off screen at the bottom, we're just putting in the pirate flag. Very nice too. That just gets glued on. So now we're adding a part called E67. I haven't got a clue what it is. And that just goes into the floor peg just like that. And behind that is another weapons rack that we've installed as well. Now we're adding the road sign, which is a perfect place. Is on the top of a boat. Where would you put it? It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's installed. Now onto more craziness. A crab with a hat on and a hook. How ridiculous. Looks like something off the cover of a Prodigy album. Oh god, it just gets worse. So now we're just installing another component, which is the first of the 3 bombs, and these just get glued into place. So with those in place, it's time to move on to the wooden crates, and there's 3 of these, so you just arrange them on the floor as best as you can, and the third one just fits on top of the 2 beneath. So once you've got through that stage, it looks just like that. Beautiful. That ridiculous crab with a hat on. It's coming along though. So now we're just installing 2 of the wine bottles. One just sits inside the crate. This was a little bit fiddly to do, to be honest with you. And yeah, a bit of activator just to hold it into place. Again, you can barely see it. and the other bottle just gets glued just in front of the crates, just like that. There's a lot of bottles on the floor of this pirate ship. I suppose it's to be expected. There you go, just placed it in there. So the next bit that we glue in is the old easel, and that just gets placed in front of the 3 crates that we've just installed with the 2 bottles. And the next component is another steering wheel, ship steering wheel, and that just fits at the front just there. And then there's a railing that just fits into those 2 holes. Now this part I found was very loose fitting, so I'm just adding a touch of glue into the holes there to keep it stable. Okay, so while that is all glue is setting on that side, we work on the side panel, and the first one we put on with some glue is a life ring. And it just fits over that hole there, or that window. Next up is this sign that just fits over there, and it says "Search for treasure with me." Onto the cuckoo clock, it just fits next to that. Boom. Okay, onto the first of the 2 lamps that fit into the wall, and that just gets pegged in. Just like that. This part is very, very delicate, and that just plugs in there. It's like a side sconce, and that also helps the floor above stay in position. Now onto this fish that we made earlier, and that just plugs in to that hole there. Look at that. And onto a world map in a frame, and that just gets glued onto there. Next up, picture frame over the picture. Now I nearly missed this off the sprue because you don't really notice it's on there, but that just gets glued into place. Next up, another light fitting, and I just knocked that sconce beneath. I told you it was delicate, so I needed to glue that back into place. Not even sure what this next part is, but it's D9, and that just fits in there. Beautiful. And we fit another pirate flag just there. Again, there's a little mark for it as to where it gets positioned. And that, my friends, is that side completed. So now on to the most fiddly part of the build, is you've got to get the chain just placed in the little hole on the crow's nest, and you glue that in position. Then you rock it to one side and put the other end of the chain through the side wall, and then glue that into position, and then you snip that chain off, and then you move on to the next hole on the crow's nest. Took a while, and quite enjoyed this process, to be honest with you, because I feel like I've achieved something. So yeah, just use your patience and you'll get there. And then once completed, it'll look just like that. Beautiful. Precision work at its best. Then we're adding the side that we've just added all the parts to, and that just gets fitted. And it was at this stage that I realised that those benches on the top shelf, one was sticking out too far. So my solution was to take this off and sand it right back, that bench, and then that fitted like a piece of cake. So that's where we're at, looking very nice too. So we've got the chains on the one side, and now we have to repeat the process and add the chains to the other side of the build. So this is me adding the chain to the front, the crow's nest, and then once it's positioned, just a bit of super glue and then flash it off with the spray. Boom. I'd say it's quite therapeutic, but also quite tricky. And that's getting the chain out the side. I'm using my special glasses on here because it's all a bit fiddly. So when you've got the chain in the correct position, case of just cutting it off, working on the next section. It's all coming together. Look at that. That's all the chains done. How nice. Took a little while, but yeah, well worth it. It looks really nice. Okay, when you've got all the sides fitted in together, it's time for putting on the lid. This is ornate as you get, and it's just a case of fitting it into the little slots, and this ties everything in together and keeps it nice and tight. Now I hate to ask, but is there any chance you could just smash that like button? It really helps with the old YouTube channel. Thank you. So the front panel is glued on, which is quite surprising. Yeah, just a case of making sure all the sides fit, everything runs smooth, nothing sticking out. And once you've got that done, all we have to do is add another steering wheel, and that goes over the top of the sensor. That's just a case of gluing that in position. So once you've glued that into position, that is the final part of this build. Now there are accessories where you've got a dust cover that just slides in the back of that, but we haven't got that one on this, and we haven't got the musical box. So here we go, this is the full reveal. So the edge of this front plate was getting on my nerves a little bit, so I painted it blue as it was just a brown colour. Hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.